Hi, this is the Be Well with Michelle Greenwell podcast. Our heartwarming conversation is designed to lift you on your wellness journey. Grab your cup of tea and enjoy the podcast. Welcome everyone to another episode of Be Well with Dr. Michelle Greenwell. And I'm so excited today because we are talking about the Joy Calendar and we are talking about living towards what matters most. And I get another opportunity to chat with Laurin Wittig. Laurin, thank you for coming back and thank you for sharing more of your story.
Oh, I always love being here. So thank you for continuing to invite me back.
So over the last few episodes, Laurin and I have explored what happens when uncertainty enters our lives with a diagnosis or a potential diagnosis, what happens with that, and then talking about the fear that gets all interrelated with that. And what we're going to do today is move our discussion completely away from that into an area where we really do need to focus for all of us, which is forward. And gives us an opportunity to get out of our overwhelm and get out of the desire to do more research into whatever it is we need to be knowing more about. Let that all go and just turn around and face the way that we all want to live, which is forward. So with that, I'm going to just bring the idea of the Joy Calendar back into our conversation. This happened unexpectedly a couple episodes back. And so Laurin has been playing with that. It's not a calendar that's filled with obligations. It's not a calendar ruled by appointments. It's a calendar we intentionally fill with the experiences that make life meaningful. And because perhaps the most purpose of wellness isn't simply preventing illness, perhaps it's creating a life that's so rich with meaning that wellness naturally can follow it. Today, we're going to check in on what's happened, what's changed, and what does living towards joy actually look like. And this is a really interesting way for us to segue into that bioenergetic wellness opportunity that is part of the work that I love to dive myself into. So you need to know about Laurin before we do that. So I just want to, if it's the first time you're coming to this podcast, you know that we are on episode 9. So if you want to go back and follow along with the journey, we invite you to do that. Laurin Wittig is an intuitive transformation mentor, an award-winning author, founder of Heartlight Wellness and the Heartlight Women's Circles, and the host of the Curiously Wise podcast. And with a background in epidemiology and decades of spiritual exploration, Laurin uniquely brings science, intuition, and lived wisdom into her pocket. And her willingness to openly share this journey of looking at what does it mean to have a precursor diagnosis to dementia allows us to look at the inspiration that people need in order to rethink what wellness truly means to them and how they can move forward. So, Laurin, welcome back. And I'm going to ask you, what did you put in your tea today?
Oh, well, I took a cue from you because you gave me a hint. And I have matcha tea that also has lion's mane in it. My lion's mane is a fungus that's really good for your brain. So I have that every day. Not the tea necessarily, but that. And because of what you inspired in me from the way you described the tea you're going to be talking about in a minute, I added honey for a little sweetness. And I had some strawberries on hand and they were frozen. So I put them in my tea and I mushed them up to get that strawberry flavor infusing into it. So it's sort of a homemade mix.
Homemade to match the conversation. I love it. I love it. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And the reason that Laurin was doing that was there's a brand new matcha that we're releasing at the Cape Breton Tea Company. And so it's just been in production. And the title of this one is called Fill Your Boots. And all of the matchas, we try to use phrases around Cape Breton that people say that have been around for a long time. And Fill Your Boots just seemed like the perfect thing to go with strawberry. And in this blend, it's got moringa and then Canadian maple sugar. And so I love how you adopted. And so that's beautiful. The affirmation that we're going to bring to the table today for our discussion. So if you're sitting at home and you've got water beside you, you can infuse your water with these intentions. Or if you do have a tea that you've chosen, you can connect in with the herbs of the tea. And then we're going to bring in this intention so that while you're listening to our conversation, your body is able to relax, let go, and transform, and have a healing session while you listen. The affirmation is, the heart of this matcha awakens our inner love and lets the sweetness of compassion flow freely to ourselves and to others. And I couldn't imagine a more perfect tea for today's conversation, because joy begins with compassion, and not only for others, but for ourselves. And sometimes we forget about that when we aren't feeling well. We forget that compassion needs to come our way. Sometimes we're just plain old grouchy because we feel yucky. And also we're trying to navigate a lot of extra influences as appointments and sessions and treatments and all those kinds of things. It's really hard to come back and be compassionate and sit with ourselves and send the love back inside that we're trying to nurture from the outside. So let's explore a little bit of what's hidden inside this blend. And so both of us with the strawberries, spiritually, well, we all know strawberries are in the shape of a heart. And when you cut them in half, you can get these most amazing heart shapes. That reminds us that joy is meant to be experienced and not postponed. And this is an opportunity to reconnect with childlike wonder, gratitude, playfulness, and the sweetness already present in our lives. And strawberries will ask us, what if today is already enough? And so often we get to the end of the day and we didn't do enough. And so we feel guilty, or we feel bad, or we feel anxious because we didn't solve everything or get everything done, and the to-do list was so long. But what if today was already enough? I'm going to leave you with that. And if we go to moringa, and moringa represents resilience. It nourishes us deeply while reminding us that true strength grows quietly over time. And its spiritual essence is one of grounded vitality, not about surviving, but flourishing. Moringa can gently ask, how are you nurturing the life you want to live? And sometimes we're trying to nurture the life we're living, but it's not exactly where we want to be. And so if we can start to look at nourishing the life we want to live. And then we go to the Canadian maple syrup. Now, the US also has maple syrup, but I'm saying Canadian maple syrup because this blend is going to have some that comes actually out of Ontario. We have a lot here in Cape Breton and very deep, rich colors here. But this particular blend is going to have some that comes from Ontario. The maple is one of Canada's great teachers. It grows patiently. It adapts through every season, and its sweetness arrives through transformation. Spiritually, maple reminds us that life's greatest gifts often emerge when we have patience, perseverance, and deep roots. And its sweetness becomes a symbol of compassion towards ourselves and others. And for those that have witnessed what happens in a sugar shack, we have the beautiful juice of the tree, I guess I'll say it that way, which ends up going into a big pot, and it cooks for a very long time to get it down to that tiny little bit of maple syrup that we love and treasure. And so there's a lot of the tree that is given in order for us to have maple syrup. So I want to bring that forward. So now matcha. We both have matcha. This has long been treasured for its nutritional richness and its ability to create calm and alertness. Rich in antioxidants, chlorophyll, vitamins, minerals, and naturally occurring L-theanine, matcha supports focused attention while encouraging a relaxed state of awareness. And it becomes the perfect companion for presence. Rather than stimulating frantic activity, it invites an intentional energy, which we want to bring to the joy calendar. So with today's conversation, we'd like you to hold your cup, notice its warmth, take a slow breath, smell that aroma, let it go into the limbic system and the motor system. The heart of this matcha awakens my inner love and lets the sweetness of compassion flow freely to myself and others. Cheers, Laurin.
Matcha. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Strawberry.
good.
Strawberry is summer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about this joy calendar. So, what has been happening with yours and how did you build it?
Okay, well, I want to start with I have run a calendar on my computer for years. And when the kids were little, they each had their own color. So I knew what they were doing on any given day and what my responsibilities were. They're long gone. They're on their own. But I still keep it on the computer because I can then have it on my phone or whatever I want. I'm a techie person. Um, and I have always used colors to differentiate different things. But I had not put things that I just wanted to do because they just plain were fun or made me happy or, gave me pleasure in some way. And I decided to take the color, one of my favorite colors, purple. So my joy calendar entries are purple. And I am happy to say that they are vastly more purple things on my calendars these days than before, than other things. Um, Yes, so that's where I started. Just like, I'm going to make a color. I'm going to make color that brings me joy and use that for my joy things that I put on my calendar. And it is predominantly a joy calendar these days, I have to say. I've gotten much more intentional about that. But so I have a lot of different things on there. I had some things already in place when we first came up with the idea of a joy calendar. And those were things that actually I saw as appointments, but they actually bring me a lot of joy. And so things like my line dancing club and pickleball, which I have become a big fan of, unlike so many other people in the world. But those things now are purple. They're on my joy calendar. And I look at it and I get, oh yeah, I've got at least one joy thing on my calendar for today. Most of the days I have at least two or three. And that's the more purple I see, the happier I get. But I also really like the empty spaces. And part of that is because I know I could add more joy there. I don't know what I'm going to do with it today, but I could add more joy there. So yeah, that's kind of where I started with it.
I love that. I love that because we were commenting my calendar, I don't have anything color coded on it, but the more blank spaces I have on my calendar that I haven't filled it up with all these appointments or meetings or things that have to happen, it's the space that I get to play in. And when I look at my calendar and I have maybe one appointment, then the whole rest of that white space is mine. And I love that. So that's the way I've kind of worked with mine. But I appreciate when you say, now I can add more purple in there because I've got space to add the extra pieces too. Yeah. And interesting that you moved your exercise, which you were doing because it was good for you. That's how you got started with it. But you moved that over to the joy side.
I moved almost all of it to the joy side. I have a Zumba class I take twice a week, and I like it, but I don't love it. And so it's still sort of in that category of I'm doing it because it's really good for me, as opposed to I'm doing it because I really just have fun there. I'm probably going to get there, but it's green. It's on my to-do list. So, but I was very discerning about that actually, because I had done the pickleball and I'd done the line dancing. These are all regular weekly things. And I was like, well, I just should do Zumba too. And then I thought, that doesn't feel right. It's not a place of joy. It's a place of, I'm glad I took care of myself. And I'm only putting in purple things that actually bring me joy. So there's that one thing there where I just kind of went, no, it doesn't feel right to put it purple yet. So I'm hoping it'll get there. But anyway, I go and it's good for me. I was going to say one more thing about the white space. One of the things that was really stressing me out about my calendar is having things, scheduled too close together. So I was always under a time limit and time constraints. And I am being very careful when I do have to schedule something, like I have a dentist appointment on Monday, that I do not bump things up against it, that I leave space around it, but I don't forfeit any joy stuff that I've done that day. Sometimes I can shift the time around for it if it's just, me doing something for me and not a group thing. but I'm being much more careful about not even crowding my joy things, because if I'm having a good time and I want to keep going, I want the space to do that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it's another advantage of the white space is it takes away some of my stress, because I really stress myself about time. And
Mm-hmm.
and I already have a plan. If I've got a lot of time, I can keep doing things that are fun. So,
And how that's really interesting because too, yes, we do take that moment for the joy piece, but you're right. Sometimes we rush the joy to get back to the responsibility.
mhm.
And I notice I have done that as well, where I've started going, that's enough for that day.
Mhm.
And even today, I went to run errands and I left enough time so that if I wanted to stop and talk to the people along the way, I was dropping tea off. Sometimes I just dropped the box, but I actually
Mhm.
stopped and chatted and looked around the store, took my time and didn't rush it. And
Yeah.
that's also that same space
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Wow. I'm
We're making
curious.
progress.
I'm making progress. It's a big, big job.
Mhm.
What was your first joyful activity that you intentionally scheduled after we chatted about it?
So this one is one of my favorite things I have on my calendar. um, I love to read, but I have for years limited my reading for pleasure to bedtime. I always read for at least a half an hour before I go to sleep. And I was reading a book of my own that I wrote, but I don't remember how it ended. And I really wanted to keep reading, but I was tired and I knew I had to go to sleep. And so in the morning, I was like, well, I really want to read this book. But usually, what I would do in the morning is get up and have my coffee, and my husband and I would sit and have coffee and watch the news on YouTube. And it's not a great way to start the day. We're both kind of politics obsessed. But then I'd start the day being angry or sad or depressed, and that's no good way to start a day. So because I really wanted to finish this book, I said, today I'm going to go sit out on my deck, and I have a wooded backyard. We don't have deer in it this season this time of year, because they're raising their babies in the deep woods. But we usually have deer out there, anywhere between 4 and 8 deer are regular visitors. We've got squirrels, we've got birds, all over the place. It's just this lovely, serene area. And I have the Adirondack chairs on our deck facing the woods. And so I picked up my coffee cup, I picked up my book, and I told my Kindle, and I told my husband I was going outside to read. And it was so relaxing. And I would stop reading every now and then because the bird song just was, getting my attention, or the wind was, making the leaves do their fun little musical dance. And then I'd go back to reading. And not that day, but the second day I did it, I read for 2 hours outside on the deck. The weather has been abysmal up through early July here. And so getting outside has been something that's really not fun. But we've had a break in the weather in the last week or two. And so the mornings are particularly wonderfully cool and breezy. And so I figure anytime it's nice enough to do that, I'm going to be out there. And I have had a few days where it was raining downpour. And I got my noise canceling earbuds. And I went into the den, which is a room we don't use very much, but it's got a comfy couch. And I read in there with my coffee. So I still wasn't in front of the TV, and I couldn't hear the TV. This I have now added Monday through Friday. It is the first thing I do in the morning after I, get up and brush my teeth and get dressed, is I make my coffee, I grab my Kindle, and if it's a nice enough day, I go sit outside for at least a half an hour and read my book and enjoy the birds, and it makes for so much more peace in my day. It's my favorite thing on there. um, and I just had to give myself permission to read for pleasure when maybe I should be doing something, cleaning up the kitchen or whatever. And I just said, no, screw it. I'm going to read. That's what I love to do. And I don't do it enough. And I'm just going to take this time. It's going to be mine.
And
Best thing I
how
have done.
many of us do read at night? One, we're really tired. For me, it's like one page, and then the book's already fallen over. So I really try, but I just don't have the concentration or the energy at the end
Yeah.
of the day. but somehow we think it's okay because it'll help us to go to sleep. So it's serving a purpose rather than just being joy. Interesting, isn't that? So
Yeah.
I'm hoping people are reflecting on, where do I put reading in my day? And, do you do it at lunchtime when you're eating, instead of, like you said, turning the news on to see if you've missed anything? And does it really matter at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I was just thinking too, how lovely to read a book while you're eating your lunch, if you've got that leisure, because then the emotions that are with that are going to help digest that food. Whereas many of us will put on the news and eat at the same time, or watch a murder mystery, and right. And the emotions running through the body doesn't know the difference between the real and the not real. You're experiencing the story, and digestion is not going to be the same. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, my next question is, I wanted to find out, did anything surprise you? First of all, that's probably, being able to put reading first was a great surprise. Is there another surprise on top of that, of something you discovered?
There was a surprise, and it was unexpected, I guess, because it was a surprise. I had no social things on my calendar. I didn't even have like to-dos with social things on my calendar. And I had been feeling kind of isolated, and I really hadn't thought about it. And it's like, I haven't seen one of my dear friends in almost a month. I haven't even talked to her on the phone. And once I realized that, I looked for a big open space on my calendar, and I texted her and said, "Hey, how about, can you do lunch on Thursday?" Happened to be yesterday. That we booked it, and she was open. The universe always happens to do that for me. And I said, let's have lunch, and then I just love to hang out and talk. We haven't seen each other in a long time. And she said, "Oh yeah, I need some Laurin time." I said, "Okay, good. I need some Denise time." And I was down there from like 11:30 yesterday. We went out for a nice lunch at a little Japanese restaurant we like to eat at. And then we went back to her house and sat on her back deck. And she's got a ton of bird feeders out. So there's just songbirds everywhere, robins in the grass. There's, just nature's beautiful. And we sat there and laughed and told stories that neither one of us had ever told the other one before. And, just kind of kicking back and enjoying being outdoors with a friend. And I realized I need to do more of this. This is a place where I'm very joyful. I can be totally myself. We have friends here who don't really understand the more woo side of me. So, so if I get an insight, I can go with Denise. I go, "Oh, I just got this." She's like, "Oh, tell me." They're like, "You got what?" So, so more of that. And I happened to notice, as I was looking at it just before we got on here, that next week I have already got lunch scheduled with one of my other dear friends that I don't see very often because she's very busy. So I'm going to intentionally catch up with the people that I really want to spend some time with. And it also showed me I have nothing set up to like regularly communicate with my children. They live on the other side of the country from me. And every once in a while we'll go, "Let's hop on FaceTime and have a call." And I usually wait for them to instigate, because if I call, I get 6 words. If they call, I get an hour. So, but I want to put something on here. So at least, a couple times a month we have something. I have a space set aside for just talking to them, just, staying in their lives, staying present with them more. Because that does give me a lot of joy when I connect with my kids. So that's another thing that was missing. Yeah.
And I noticed
pretty good.
I noticed for me too, a couple, like catching up with family, a couple days can go by, and then we have time zones that you've got to worry about. So trying to get the right time, and then it just seems like it snowballs. And then a couple weeks have gone by, and you had no intention of that. It was just the way everything didn't want to line up.
Yeah.
And so lovely to be able to put that on the calendar, and depends who you're going to catch up with, but at least each time that it shows up, I'm going to have a conversation.
It reminds me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a joy source for me. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
to find out what's going on in their lives and
Mm-hmm.
just stay in touch. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's one thing I'm going to add. I haven't done that yet because it really just occurred to me today. Um, yeah. So,
Okay, so if you, those were
oh,
the things that you started to add onto the calendar.
mhm.
What things have you noticed that have disappeared?
A lot of the to-dos, because what I have in the past done is put the things I need to take care of that day, and it's like bang, 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 bang. So many different things. And it's overwhelming. It's visually overwhelming. I get overwhelmed very quickly before I've ever done anything. And so I don't put those things. I'll have a little note, where I've got a few things that I need to make sure I get done, but they're off to the side. And if I miss them, it's not the end of the world. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel guilty because I didn't get done what I said I was going to do today on my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's a way where I've just removed it from like on the calendar. It's like, you should do this today. You've got it on today. You should do it today. You did it at this time. You put it for 9 o'clock, do it at 9. That voice inside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, so I've just kind of taken that off the computer and put it on my desk, or I'll add it to the grocery list, you know? And that has taken some of the stress that I find with a calendar out of it too, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not just constant to-dos.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that's off, yeah.
how did it feel to take um, what appointments were offering you and and finding that priority of joy? Did your idea of appointments change in how, when you have to do the appointment, is it different? Does it feel different now?
Um, it's funny, but it does. And I don't think it's a direct change from, what we've been talking about so much as I have I just learned this yesterday about myself, literally. um, I've been feeling a bit off energetically, and I had noticed that when my husband and I, hang out, we talk a lot, but I've been not really talking. I've been listening mostly, which is I am a listener. That's mostly what I do. But I was noticing I didn't have anything that I needed to bring up to talk about. It's kind of like, have I lost my intellect? Is there something I'm not curious about? Is it, what is going on? And then when I was with my friend yesterday, she was telling all these stories, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" And I was just mostly listening, and I really didn't have. I think I shared one or two stories, but but it just was not. There wasn't really any need to speak, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so yesterday evening, I was thinking about the day because it was really wonderful. It was so much fun, and it was laid back. There was no "we got to be here at that time" kind of stuff. And I thought about, gosh, I was really quiet there too. And then I realized that my brain has gone quiet in a good way. That voice that we all have in there, it's
Mm-hmm.
been absent. And I didn't realize it until I stopped and thought, this is why I'm not chattering all the time, because there's not a voice in there saying, you really should participate in this conversation, or you should ask about this, or you should, blah, blah, you should. It's just gone. And I think a lot of it is the way I start my days now. I
Mm-hmm.
start them happy. I start them with joy. I start them, without the outer lower vibrant, let me get the words out, lower frequency vibration of the energy. I'm not letting that in my being before my own energy gets settled. Um, and I think that's just really brought a lot of peace and
Mm-hmm.
quiet, but it's a good quiet. There's nothing wrong with me. It's a happy quiet, and I think that has really made space for me to say no to things that I just don't really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I did cancel a few unnecessary things on my list, on my calendar. Just was like, no, I really don't want to do that. And I'm just going to beg off. Um, and, it's making me a little more allowing me that peacefulness is allowing me to really measure, is this going to be something I enjoy, or is it just a duty? And if it's just a duty, and, if it were, an elderly parent that needed my help, of course I would do that, but I don't have that anymore. So for, now duty is these, activities that I've been invited to, and I didn't want to say, well, I don't want to go spend that time with you. But I can really I don't even have to step back. It's so quiet in there. I can just handle that one thing and go, is this going to bring me joy? Am I going to enjoy myself? Which sounds a little, I don't know, me, but it's all about my joy right now. you so I'm really able to have the space in my head to get the shoulds and oughts, as I like to call them. You should do this, you ought to do that. And really decide, is this something that will be good for me, or is it just, rote behavior? And if it's rote behavior and it's not bringing me any joy, I'm not going to do it. I've just, and it's been fine. When I beg off, people go, okay. I'll say, thanks for inviting me, but no. And that hasn't, I've been an anxious pleaser most of my life. So just standing up for myself, not even standing up, just making the decision for myself about the benefit of something to me. And yeah, that can be a little selfish sounding, but that's okay. I'm good with that.
Sometimes we forget about that part of it. When you bring the compassion and the love back to yourself, we forget about that piece.
Yeah, exactly.
You do have that choice. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. I want to bring us into a second section, which is if we look at when we're building calendars around responsibility, wellness begins when we build our lives around what will restore us and letting responsibilities fit around that. So you're describing that perfectly. So if we look at in this next section about living towards something, then we want to just bring people around to a new idea. So when we first met to talk about facing dementia, your focus was centered around preventing dementia. And today now you're just totally focused on living, which is amazing. And as people are listening, I'm hoping they're hearing that piece and asking themselves, am I living? Or like you said, am I doing the rote stuff? So we're definitely hearing something different. The way you're expressing it is different. The people you're bringing into your life is different. And you're finding that opportunity to move towards the joy, to be curious, to discover possibilities. And I know you're feeling the shift of that. So now as you're looking forward at the future, what excites you now as you think about that?
I think what excites me the most is exploring more ways to be joyful. What else is out there that's going to make me feel good, make me feel fulfilled in some way? Not necessarily in there's a goal and I got to get there, but just like I've done something good for myself today. I also know that when I'm doing good for myself, that energy spreads. So that makes me feel good. But really what I'm living for is just living to have a good life now. I don't know how long I've got. None of us do. And I have dementia may or may not happen. I am doing everything I can to keep myself healthy and happy. Healthy and happy releases a lot of stress, So my goal is as stress-free as possible, to continue to explore, because I do have a curious mind. I'm always wanting to learn something new, and to make choices that will expand that joy. I guess that's the best way I can express it.
Well, and I'm thinking that for lots of people listening, me included, we haven't thought that way, and we also haven't prioritized it that way
Mm-hmm.
either.
Mm-hmm.
And, our working life sets us up to live a certain way, and we get wrapped up in that working life mentality. I'll say it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And so to think that it could be different, you're the lived example. Yes, it can be different.
Yeah.
How you
Admittedly,
approach it.
I am retired.
Yeah.
So I have a lot more flexibility. I wanted to bring up this was my husband had the TV on at lunchtime, and there was a video about micro excursions. That's not the word she used. Micro adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a young woman talking about how she was feeling very flat in her life, and it just was, like no motivation to do much of anything, just to do the work, and what was the point? And she used to take big vacations that were expensive and abroad, and for a period of time, and then she would come back and it would still be flat, and it'd just be the same old life. And she talked about how she began to do little micro adventures. So she found some trails around, within 30 minutes of where she lived, and got some friends to go with her. It's a little bit like what I did yesterday with my friend. It's not necessarily an adventure going down to her house and hanging out, but it was something that I knew would bring me joy. It was something that I always learned something from her. That we would be in nature for a lot of the time. It was a little micro adventure that got me out of the house and with somebody I haven't seen in a while, doing something I love, which is bird watching and nature gazing and being in the presence of someone whose energy is just wonderful. But I was thinking about that, and it's like, well, that would be a great thing to start looking for on my joy calendar, are these little micro adventures, and adding that. And so if you're in the work, still in the work grind, where your schedule is sort of fixed during, 5 days a week at least, maybe that's something that you could start with on the weekend, just a little micro adventure. And or whatever it is that makes you joy. Maybe you love to shop, or maybe you love museums, or whatever it is. Just don't wait for a lot of time or a lot of money. Go ahead and do something little. And I think it will probably be similar to what I experienced with reading in the morning. It's just enough joy on a regular basis, even if it's once a month. If you know it's coming, then that's going to change a lot of your frequency. At least, look at it, put it in purple or whatever you like on your calendar, put a big gold star next to it. But have something to look forward to that's really just about filling your heart, filling your joy. And I think that would be a really cool thing to try out. And I'm getting goosebumps, which are my clients used to call them my truth bumps. So, so take that as my guides going, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's something I think that, could be easily for any of us, but especially since you were talking about those of you who still work, that, there are ways to bring things in that may not fit into that 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 or whatever it is schedule you have. Especially if you've got kids too, young kids, you don't have a lot of time for yourself, especially in the mornings, but just plan a little outing, maybe by yourself, maybe with your kids, maybe, with friends. But do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Get some joy on your calendar,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it will make a huge difference just to see that you set aside time for yourself.
One of the additions to my calendar is teaching an extra Tai Chi class, which brings me great joy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a drive that takes me to the center of the island, which takes us into the Brador Lakes. And always the Brador Lakes just look so beautiful. But then when I get to Bedeck, we're in the harbor. So either my window looking out from Tai Chi is looking on the harbor, or we've been down in the grass.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's all the sailboats are there. Ben Bria, which is the mountain where Alexander Graham Bell and his wife lived, and all of the research and science happened there. And it's just such an exquisite spot. And so as we were talking about the joy calendar, and I'm thinking about people who are still working, that is my job. So I do drive there.
Yeah.
So I have a 45-minute drive. But what I've started to do is when I leave in the morning, is make sure I've got my tea ready and I leave with enough time to drive slowly, not in the rush to get there. So I leave with that extra little bit because there'll be sparkles on the leaves. There'll be cobwebs that are covered with dew. There's all these treasures that I get to see on the way there. And then last week on the way back, it was Christmas in July at the campground that I passed by, have never stopped at for years and years and years. And they had a beaver tail food truck. And I drove past, and then I thought, beaver tails in the middle of nowhere. I can't remember the last time I had one. Now, beaver tail is a pastry.
Okay.
And it's deep fried. And then you can put different kinds of sauces on top. So I had like pistachio butter kind of thing on the top of it. And so they usually have them at the fairs. So you would see them if you had kids and you were going to be taking them. And so I turned around and I went back and I ordered one. And then I sat there and I ate it, had a lovely conversation. And I thought, now, how delightful was that? I'm 15, 20 minutes later getting home, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And that was that sparkle, right? On my work journey. So I'm just bringing in that little micro adventure in case somebody else is driving home next week after they've listened and they can go, today I'm going to stop. I don't have to just go from the house to work and from the work back to the house. I can go on micro adventures. I don't have to be home at supper time. I can pack some snacks and off I can go. Yeah. So
that's a great example. I've never heard of a beaver tail. Now I'm going to have to come up there. Something else I need to get up there.
They're very, very good. Oh,
I heard you said a beaver tail truck, and I'm like, what?
Yep. All right. So with that, okay, so we can feel between the two of us how the future and the excitement towards the future, what that means, and micro adventures definitely. Yeah. So now I'm curious what dreams might have returned to you that had kind of gone to the side, or maybe they were way back in the distance and you hadn't been able to look at them.
It's funny because last night I had a dream, an actual dream. And in that I had multiple manuscripts of novels that I was kind of juggling, and I was obviously getting them ready to send out somewhere. This is old school because it was like papers, and I have not allowed myself to consider publishing, even though I've been kind of tinkering with a new story. And my dream really is to get my stories out to people because they're meant to be, healing, enlightening, entertaining. And I know that because I've got from old readers, previous readers, I know that they can change lives. These, those were romances set in medieval Scotland. And yet people got, life lessons or life permissions from it. And so I have not allowed myself to dream about that. And then I literally dreamed it just last night. And I will tell you that the yesterday morning and this morning, it was just flowing through me, this story. It was just coming fast. And I've been trying to control it. No, I have to figure that out. And then I just totally, I think it's part of the quiet in my brain. I totally got out of the way. And it's just, obviously my subconscious or my higher self or whatever has it under control. So that's what I'm allowing myself to dream now, is that not only just that 1 hour a day, 5 days a week with my writing group, but I can continue beyond that. And I wrote for an hour and a half this morning instead of the hour. Then I had to, take care of a few other things, but so that's an old dream that I am reigniting. And it came true before. My mother once said to me that anything I really put my mind to, I always made it happen. So I'm going to do that again. How about that?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm just in awe at all the reframing that happens. And you and I talked about recording this podcast 2 days ago. So just bringing that in. And for people that are listening, we work within a formula of goal setting and intention setting, and we live that way. So it's just a part of our everyday. And so if you're listening to this for the first time, what happens is as soon as you get that inkling of that next piece, everything just starts to change. And so you and I talked about what is the next topic for the podcast. I put the script together with the ideas that I have, and you're manifesting those answers and those pieces instantly, which is so cool for people that if you haven't been living with this formula within your life, when it happens, then it's ease and it's joy that comes out of it. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, sometimes we just got to get out of our way to have the joy come in.
Man, oh man. Yeah. Okay. So now the question I have is, what do you want your life to feel like now? Is there a change, or do you think you've gotten to that feeling?
I think I'm on my way there. I think I'm still the fears, the what ifs still pop up from time to time. That's normal. But they don't last anymore. So that's good. What I want is ease. I want and I'm not saying easy, but just the ease of moving through. It's like, like you just said, once you decide something and you make the shift, then things flow pretty easily, and life is not stressful for me. It's exciting. It's like, oh, this is cool. What else is going to happen? So I really, want to be surprised with more joy stuff. That's how I want to live my life, constantly on the path to something joyful. What that is, I don't know. But that's really, I think that's what I just want to be on the path to more joy.
Wow. I'm thinking, so for those people that maybe haven't heard any of the episodes yet, and to be able to go back and listen to episode 1 and 2, right? Back in the gunk and the mud of precursor diagnosis and all that, to listen to the voice and listen to the optimism and what is possible. So I really feel like we just turned the whole conversation around by deciding to have the conversation, which is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's part of why I love being in conversation with you, whether it's on the podcast or outside the podcast, because we always learn something new about both of us, when we do this. And that's why your podcast recordings are on my joy calendar.
Woohoo! I'm purple. I love it.
You are purple. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too for me with the podcast is each conversation I'm always so interested. What are people doing? How are they doing it? And what will we discover? Because most of the podcasts too, we've got this formula in place. So we discover things in the conversation, and that leads us down an incredible road. So I that's why I enjoy doing the podcast. So I'd have to mark purple on mine. Sometimes it goes to overwhelm if I've got too many podcasts in a row that I'm doing and trying to keep on top of all of that. But when I can really sit with the conversation and be ready, and yours too, watching it unfold and knowing kind of where we were heading, and some of the healing and emotions one that also is just being released right now, that also sitting in that information was just so delicious. And nurturing. So.
Yeah.
So I want to take us to the wellness compass. So we talked about a formula that we do live by. So I'd like to dive into this because one of the ideas we've been exploring in bioenergetic wellness is that a meaningful future changes how we're going to experience the present, which we're noticing. And I'm going to bring it to an idea. So I had a student today say, I really like it when the stories are in there. So if we take it to sailing, thinking about on the deck bay there, the captain doesn't spend the voyage staring behind the boat. They're going to keep their eyes on the horizon. And then they're going to make small adjustments along the way. And I think that wellness is like that. It's not constantly checking behind us, is the disease still following,
Yeah.
but continually orienting ourselves towards the life we hope to live. And with that analogy in there, is there anything you'd like to add to that or reflect on?
Yeah, sometimes you need to jump in the water and swim just for fun. Um, I used to work at Jamestown Settlement Museum here, which is a living history museum, and I did school tours, and we talked about how sometimes the sailors would want to take a bath, and they'd be out in the middle of the ocean. Most of them couldn't swim, so they would tie a rope or hold on to a rope so they could get in the water. And I just thought, yeah, and for those who could swim, it was probably a lot of fun. It's like, so, and I always think about sailing in the dolphins or waves or whales or something. So for me, being on the water is joyful. Looking ahead to where that water is going to, support us to get to, I think is it keeps us buoyant. It keeps us able to make those little adjustments. So that's what I would add to your story. The fun part.
And I was remembering we have Port Hood that's called Chestico Days, and they have a boat parade, and the boats will load up all kinds of people. They'll fill the lobster where they put all the catch is a great big styrofoam thing. They'll load that up with ice, and then you have all kinds of drinks and treats and barbecues and music and everything. But the one day, it was an absolutely stunning day, and we went over towards Port Hood Island, and the boats were all kind of stopped in the harbor, and we're on the boat, but it gets hot, and so I was like, I've got to get off the boat. It's a big fishing boat. So I jumped in the water, not thinking how I was going to get back on the boat, but I jumped off. I did some swimming and went over to a boat where I didn't know anybody, and they offered me a beverage. And I thought, how cool is this? I'm sitting in the ocean in the middle of nowhere, and I've got all these people, and we're all celebrating, and it was just so beautiful. I did have to get back into the fishing boat. That was another story. But I also remember diving in rather than saying, no, I don't want to get wet. No, it'll be too much for whatever. And all the reasons why I shouldn't jump in the water, I just jumped in the water. And I'm like, I'll deal with the rest. But it was so delightful while I was there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. As we look then at bioenergetic wellness formula, goals and intentions, is there something in your future that has become clearer?
That's a really good question. It does feel brighter. It feels like I almost see it more lit up than it was. It was, sort of gloomy before. And I feel like it's sort of expanded. It feels a lot brighter. It feels a lot more hopeful. I don't see anything specific, but it just feels like there's going to be easy sailing. I want to say, to go with our metaphor here, easy sailing going forward. That it's all going to be okay, and I'm just going to live life one joy point to the next. Yeah, it's I think from my dream, I'm likely to have more books come out, and that's always fun and joyful. Once they're out, but getting them out is not always fun, but you get there. And just knowing that also is reconnecting me to my writing community and to my reader community is joyful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see a lot of joy in the future. I am connecting it a lot to really immersing myself in writing again. It brings me so much. I mean, the my energy expands crazy when I write. It's just such a joyful thing to do. And even when it's not going well, it's still my brain's going, oh, this is cool. What else could we do? What do they need to do next? How can I have, it's like, how do I
Mm-hmm.
describe this thing? There's always something to, to fiddle with and play with. And just the act of writing is just a joy to me. It's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've ever known what my purpose was, but I think my purpose really is to be a writer,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a storyteller, because
Mm-hmm.
that's basically how I taught, it's how I coached some of my clients along the way is through story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I'm just really stepping into it full force now,
Mm-hmm.
where I haven't allowed myself to in the last 10 years. So,
Mm. And so that
yeah,
brings that what has come back. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That
A lot of joy there.
reframing. We just don't realize how valuable the reframing is and
No, we don't.
what we can't see on the other side of that bubble we've created. And it might be a really nice bubble, but
Hmm.
we don't know how good it can be on the other side of that bubble
Right,
that we just
right.
can't see. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I think that quiet is really good because it shut up all those. You don't want to go through publishing again. That was a pain in the butt, you know. But it was so much fun to have a book come out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So I do think the quiet that I have found is really benefited me being able to open up to what the
Mhm.
possibilities are,
Mhm.
um, and stop beating myself up.
Oh, okay. So what I want to do now is I want to walk people through the formula because I don't want to just tease them. And because, I mean, learning this changed my life. I didn't realize I was working with the formula. It's only been since I worked on my doctorate that I discovered that. But once I started working in this industry, then it just became the way of living, like I said. And
Hmm.
you live the same way. Um, so let's go through it. So when we first met, you had a goal. The goal was to well, first met to talk about facing dementia.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So your goal was to be able to figure out how to live with um, the information of it being a precursor. Would that
Hmm.
be correct for me to say that?
Yeah. Yeah. It was sort of the fear wrought by the knowledge, the concrete knowledge that I carried the gene that often ends up in as Alzheimer's. So yeah, it was this fear of this thing, you know. I kind of see it now like a little black imp on my shoulder, and now I want to go away. But yeah, I was in a lot of fear. I was in a lot of grief. I was in a lot of anger. I blamed my mom because it's her line that it comes down through, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she had dementia as well. And I was really fearful for my family because my watching my mom go down, it was just awful, horrible, gross.
Mm-hmm.
She was a narcissist. It did not make for a good time at all. Um, and I would try to talk myself through that. I'm not my mother, blah, blah, blah. Um, but there was a lot of fear, not even really so much for myself as for what I would do to my family
Mm-hmm.
if it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have finally gotten over that fear. I mean, that was the biggest one for me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been really nice to come out of that black fog that I was in. But
And it, and
that's where I started.
and then you stated your goal is to fill up more of your days with joy. So
Hmm.
the difference between then and now with what goals can be and mean,
Hmm.
and by you choosing to face the goal of looking at facing dementia, and then what will that mean in your world? You didn't know what was going to be in the where we are today in the conversation.
No,
But if you hadn't have
never dreamed of it.
both of us, and if we hadn't have asked those questions at the beginning and set the goal in place that let's figure this out and let's get on the road of that discovery, you wouldn't have been able to say today, I just want to fill up my days with joy.
Yep.
That wouldn't have been a possibility. So just trying to get out to everyone listening, we don't always know what the goal is going to look like on the end. That's the piece. You kind of have an idea where you want to get to, but it has this discovery and being open to that and letting go and getting out of the way.
Yeah.
Opens all of that.
Yeah.
And then if we look at intention is a little bit different than goal. Sometimes it's the quality of which we want to be living like. And what your intention was back at the first deep dive into discovery, how would you compare that to what your intention is now?
Well, my first intention was to learn everything I could so I could do everything possible to prevent this. And I was on a mission. You know? And I very rapidly got overwhelmed by it all. And now I am, I've put things in place that will help me be healthy longer and do support my brain, and that are creating resilience on a day-to-day basis, which, even just dancing makes your brain work, and now I'm looking at, okay, none of us know how long we have. So why live it in fear when I can live in a purposeful way of looking for things that are going to make me happy and joyful? And that in turn will help others be happy and joyful. I would add to it because I know people like being in my energy when it's high. Right. And I know that because they remember me and I don't remember them. When did we meet? But so I know that the more that I can do to keep my own vibration high, my own emotions in a happy place, a joyful place, the better I'm bringing to the world. And whether if that's somebody I smile at in the grocery store or a neighbor I stop and talk to who I've never talked to before, and we get it all, get quite friendly with each other. And it's just, it's like it is night and day. I mean, it is from the black fog to, wow, the future is bright. And I'm going to keep doing the good stuff for myself that I've already put in place. I still want to learn to play the piano. I haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet, but that's another one I want to add in. And I can feel that it's almost time. It is night and day. And we've been doing this for, I don't know.
Almost a year.
Almost a year. Yeah. So it's been a journey, and I won't lie. Sometimes I slide backwards into the darkness a little bit, but less and less. And when I feel that, I tend to be more proactive about doing something to lift me out of that. And that's probably the healthiest thing I'm doing for myself right now. I don't feel great. What do I want to do to make myself feel better?
I love that.
Chocolate.
Sometimes it is chocolate. I love that because I was going to ask you, because the next part of the formula is awareness, and you just identified it. I know right away when things are not going well and, my mind has changed, how I feel has changed. I don't have the vibrancy I want. And then the next part I would ask you is what actions naturally followed. And you already said, I go out and my joy calendar is full. So I'm pulling all those pieces in, and I'm making everything happen for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate so much. The next part is who has become part of your community, and you so beautifully shared how you're adding all of those friends back in, and you're adding the family back in to the conversations and making sure that you're being completely present and aware with each of them, which is beautiful. Yeah. And then my last question would be, how has your intuition changed? And you answered that beautifully as well. Like, you can see how the whole formula just kind of, it's just an all-encompassed piece, and you are living it, which is so incredible. Yeah.
I guess it just comes naturally to me. I don't know.
Well, it does now. If we went back and listened to episode 1, not
Yeah,
so much then.
not so much. No. Yeah.
Even
It's
though it was present because you were already living that way, but you didn't know how to turn it into forward
yeah.
future looking. You
Yeah.
knew how to support yourself in that moment, but you
Right.
just didn't know how to turn it around so that you could start to see with what you described was the hope and the brightness
Mhm.
and the lightness of being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I couldn't see that ever happening in the early days of this. It was always going to be doom and gloom, and fear, a lot of fear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am remarkably calm and peaceful, and like I said, I just realized that yesterday. Sometimes it takes me a while to turn inward and go, wait, what's going on? Um, so I would say to anybody, whatever journey you're on that is hard, then don't beat yourself up if it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I happen to be someone who is very introspective, and I have many friends who are energy workers, and I haven't done it by myself. These conversations have been very healing for me too, because they help
Mm-hmm.
me understand myself.
Mm-hmm.
So having a good friend who will listen and reflect back to you what you're saying is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so you're definitely someone who's been very active in my community on this journey, this part of my journeys. So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that so much.
Mm. It's my pleasure. The reflection piece, I think, is just so important. I think sometimes people just kind of block
Mhm.
that part, and I think, um, like you said, knowing who you wanted to work with to work on the energy aspects, because that's how we
Mhm.
started the
Mhm.
conversations too, was the energy work that you were going to do,
Yeah.
rather than just following what the medical model and yes, eat better, yes, get your rest,
Mhm.
yes,
Yes, move your body.
do all the things that keep your body healthy.
Yeah.
But you also said, I'm going to go and find the energetic tools which will transport the energetic side of me.
Yep.
And that's the awareness that you're actually identifying too, is you realize, people would say, well, yes, I'm feeling more tired or lethargy, or my emotions are getting the best of me, or my mind's doing the monkey thoughts,
Mhm.
those constructs. But you actually are actually really aware of energetically what happens with those frequencies, everything going up and being strong, or they start to diminish.
Mhm.
And so that extra little bit and the reflective opportunity to look at that um, allows us to parallel with the medical model
Yeah.
in what we need to be well. But then it allows us the opportunity to be expressive of who we need to be
Yeah.
in order to live well.
Yeah. And I have continued to do that part of it too. I don't know that we've talked about it, but I still about once a month I get a session with one or the other of my friends that does this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And inevitably something comes up that is still kind of holding on to that little black imp. And so we've been clearing more and more of it as we go along. And that's been a big help too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I love the energetic healing modalities. They're very gentle generally. And they get at things that the medical model just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, and I love that kind of work anyway. I did that work for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's still something, that's still a thread that's, coming in just as I'm still working with my functional med doc to make sure my body's, good and healthy, my gut's working properly and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a village. I just have a really interesting village.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the conversations, because they
Mhm.
could be in so many directions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Conversations. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. All right. So that brings us around to, in these episodes, we've also tried to offer different tools, experiences for people, so they could go away with something. So today I wanted to just close with a little bit of a closing reflection. Are you okay if we leave the conversation where in the delight that we've given it today?
Yes, in the joy.
In the joy. The joy. I'm like, I've got to go fill that calendar more. All right. So everyone that's listening, if you have the opportunity to close your eyes or lower your eyes, if you're driving, then please stay focused on the road and just be comfortable. And then I just invite you to take a slow breath and feel your feet resting on the earth. And as you feel that breath go in and out, notice how the breath isn't really there for the lungs. It's there for each joint. It's there for your mind. It's there for your emotions. It's there for all the space around you. And the breath keeps us alive and vibrant. And then if you imagine tomorrow morning, your calendar is completely empty. And now you get to ask yourself, what would I like to place on that calendar first? Not because you should, not because somebody expects something, but because it helps you to come alive. Maybe you have a tea in mind. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's the bird song or the deer. Maybe it's the green space you get to enjoy. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's painting or learning the piano. Maybe it's calling someone you love. Maybe it's simply sitting quietly beneath a tree, in a comfy chair, and notice how your body is responding to those options. How do they make you feel? Do you notice a softening? Maybe just a glimpse at quiet excitement or a spark. This is all information. The body is recognizing possibility. Now imagine building your life from the place of recognizing possibility. One joyful choice, one meaningful moment, one compassionate decision. Finish with a breath. Lock in what we've talked about. Consider how our conversation relates to you, the way you wish to be living forward. When you're ready, want to open your eyes, come back to the present, be aware of your breath filling you up. And then I'd invite you to take one last sip of tea, water, whatever you happen to have beside you. Receive its sweetness and remember, wellness isn't measured by what we avoid. It is measured by how fully we choose to live. Laurin, thanks for helping us to fill our boots today with joy and filling our hearts with compassion and asking us to move forward with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, as always, for having me here. I appreciate it.
So if you've missed the other episodes of Facing Dementia, we invite you to go back, check them out, listen to the journey, but also listen to the tools of discovery. Receive a healing session with each one that you listen to. If you go to thegreenwellcenter.com, you can download your free top 8 stress releasers. You can explore the bioenergetic wellness approach that I use, and then subscribe to our wellness blog for ongoing inspiration and practical tools. And as soon as Laurin has that book ready to go, we'll be sharing that. All right. So until next time, keep moving towards the life that is calling you. And please be well. Take care. Thank you for listening to Be Well with Dr. Michelle Greenwell. There are a couple of resources I want to just point out. When you go to the website greenwellcenter.com, you'll have a pop-up window. That pop-up gives you the top 8 easy stress releasers that you can use every day. That's something you can put beside your computer, the bathroom mirror, beside the bedside table. A great resource. Also, my YouTube channel. It is full of playlists with all kinds of different ways that you can activate energy and bring vitality into your day. You can find that when you go to YouTube at Michelle Greenwell. And last, if you're a Linktree person, Linktree, linktr.ee/Greenwell Center. That has all my resources in one spot. Those are for intricate little things that you can't get everywhere. And it's a wonderful way for me to be able to share all the different aspects of the kind of work I do. So thank you for listening. Be sure to drink that tea. And if you want to have the tea blend that was shared in the podcast today, then be sure to check out capebretontea.ca. Have a wonderful day.